All right, hey, it's Rob with a quickie guitar tutorial. Well, quick for my standards. Hopefully I won't rattle on for about 10 minutes. But anyway, I was just thinking about the chord C, the simple first position chord C that you learn 5 seconds after you start learning how to play the guitar. But really C, I think, is pretty much the best open position chord, because there are so many different things you can do with it, really without having to move too many of your fingers. You can just lift one or the other one or whatever, and there are so many different variations and things you can do to spice up the C chord, whatever. So anyway, let's get into it. One reason why the C chord is not the best chord is this low E. Now, when you hear people playing at the open mic, and I've done a video about this, and they're strumming all the strings. Now, E is in the chord of C, but that low E will dominate your C chord, so you always want to hook your thumb over and just deaden that E note. That's the easiest thing to do. Now I can hit all the strings, and as long as I'm not pushing that down like I just did, you're gonna get just a C, and you're not gonna get this low E ringing out at all. That's a good trick. Or you just learn, of course, to just play the C and just avoid that low E. Anyway, let's get to the reasons why C is great. So first of all, like I just did there, you can play that Eagle song. Now everyone who does gets a copyright strike on their channel. I think maybe if you sing it, but so if you just lift up different fingers, like you can lift up your second finger, you're going from I think it's like a C add 2, kind of, because it's a C and the D in the same chord, and you're hammering on the E note there, making the formal C chord right here. It's one thing you can do. You can also hammer on the top 2 notes here. That really does sound like that Eagle song. But so that's something you can do with the C chord, again, to make it more interesting. On the lower end, if you just transpose your pinky and your third finger, you can pick up the low G bass note, which is also in the chord. And when you compare it to how the low E sounds, no thank you. But that low G, of course, gives it a lot of power. It sounds really great. And you can play this. Lola by the Kinks. Now, E is one of the few chords you can hit all the strings at once. E and G, those are really the only ones where you can hit all the strings. All the rest, you got to watch which strings you hit. C is no exception. Anyway, so moving on from your standard C, if you just take off your first finger, now I have a C major 7. All I had to do is take off a finger. If I go a little further and I add the finger back on and I put my pinky on the B flat, now I have a C7. So I have this really nice progression, which is in ELO's Can't Get It Out of My Head and other songs, where you play C, C major 7, and now go to the C7 chord. So you have that descending, and I'll play it without talking. Anyway, so that's a pretty cool thing. The C major 7 is very useful in a lot of situations. It's much easier than G, where you have to go from here to a whole different chord to make a G major 7. So again, C for the win there. All right, so on top of that one, the bass notes. You can also add the high G. Of course, G is already in the chord, but that will just add a little bit on the top there instead of, you can add your G. So that's nice to do there as well. There are amazing things you can do with C, let me tell you. I'm kind of making it up as I go along, but I keep thinking of more. So besides adding the G note, you can also do the root fifth bass trick where you're just picking, if you do it right. So you are just, taking the place of a invisible bass player who doesn't happen to be there, and you are picking up the root and the fifth to accompany yourself in country songs and that kind of thing. So, I don't know, kind of running out of cool ideas for C, but once again, there are just lots of different things. Oh, one more. You can, of course, do the C sus. So that's if I add my pinky there on the F, and you have your C. You can add the sus in a lot of chords easily, like D, A. But it's nice with the C because you also have the ability to do the sus, the regular, the add to, and then go back. And I just wrote a song like that. So again, C's a cool chord. You hit that chord there, you got your sus, and it's easily resolved back to just the first position C chord. C is great, of course, with the capo. I rarely play anything in C, but I certainly play up here, which is D and E. So depending on how you are able to sing in different keys, C again is going to work, of course, all up and down the fretboard as it does as a first position chord, as many other ones. But yeah, I don't think I'm missing anything at this point about C, but there are lots of different variations, lots of different things you can do from that home position, first position C, and just by altering, by removing fingers, adding fingers, adding a note here, you can add that F, you can add that B flat, you can add that G, you can add the low G, you can take off the C and make a B. Lots of stuff you can do with good old-fashioned C. All right, I will see you later. Thanks for watching.